insights behind the design.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the insights behind the product in the first place, and then what was the insights behind the
I think they were trying to say that even serious issues can be laughable.
I don't know.
Life is not that serious. You can
the
just see
magic
the funny
voice
side.
was all about you saying something to somebody in a voice
that is funny.
the person isn't familiar with it, in a funny voice, but the content of the message wasn't.
You guys agree with
So
me?
what is the product?
I don't know. Is it the same MTN who are being our boyfriend, girlfriend?
No, I don't. Excel.
Yeah, but they communicated better.
Excel.
Well, the Excel one too, they were introduced with
You
it.
see, for me, I had a friend at Vodafone, and because we were both in marketing, sometimes we would criticize. Yeah. So when I heard the MCN, I was like, no, I'm confused. Then the Airtel, then I said, okay, so I think Airtel is rather communicating it's better than.
But they also withdrew because there were moral issues. At the end, NCA asked both of us to withdraw our bids. Because for the Airtel one, it was communicating to the DC.
Oh, okay.
So
Because for me,
NCA had to withdraw those. So the product is all the
I think that they communicate that we are calling somebody's home, and I think he was calling a girl's father picked it up, and then he changed his voice. So because his father thought it was for me, I thought that okay, this is some of the things that the magic voice could do, and it went, it didn't check.
Yeah. Okay, so they also have a magic voice.
Yes. I don't know that insight where the comes got it from, because for me.
And so NCA regulates those ads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the product itself is off the market.
Oh, really? So no longer magic voice. Because it will need people to train their
people. So when this technology started, it was one of their selling points.
Yeah.
Technically, they bought that product out. So that phone had the capacity to change those features. So lots of people just to have a feel of that particular application. But then, I think the moral issues will be something. Otherwise,
but you see, these moral issues won't fly in other countries. I mean, they see this. Yeah. So, but the culture contest again comes in here. That's interesting.
So I'm guessing that's why I sold in SA.
Yeah. And then, if the ad has to communicate logical argument, for example, if you're looking at how much somebody is going to earn in an investment product, you want to use this instead of humor. Or are you able to communicate it better with humor? Again, you must want to try. And then affective impact. Like there's much more funeral stuff where somebody's emotions are actually affected. You want to say something?
Yeah, I was looking at the affective impact. I was wondering why you chose affective and not effective.
Yeah. Usually the effective is much more different meaning. Like effective as in efficient. And all this. But effective as in emotive. Emotive. I bet that actually takes the emotions out. Like the one that we watched. By the way, we watched some adverts. Yeah, I'll play them. I'll play them for you. So why and when emotional appeals work in financial services? So we're saying that yes, just like that, insurance product, especially life insurance, they use certain emotions. Planning funds and college funds and one appeal to the most important levels of Maslow. Whenever it's about survival, we tend to be emotional about it. Because when you climb up there, who cares about emotion? Survival always has that emotion. The meaning of life, financial stability, state of peace, major drawback. The emotions may take center stage. Sometimes the advert is so emotional that the consumers start crying. And then I forget what the storyline was. It happens. Sometimes the person becomes so emotional that he may not even pay attention to the message. He becomes upset.
They start enjoying the ad and wanting to find out.
Yeah. People become upset, sometimes. They become upset, they can't even watch it to the end. Or they become so happy that, maybe the guy is fooling in the, you laugh. By the time you finish, The advert is what? They say, oh, what was it about? But you're laughing. So the funny side may overtake or may, place the
this advert, one look advert, but doesn't know his game. It took me a long time to actually realize that.
Because we were laughing at it.
Yeah. I was looking at, the brain behind the little girl being a genius.
Yeah.
But then the product that was being sold, so now I can't really
remember. Yeah. And this advert, I think it was by MTN also. The guy who's a virtual call, like he says,
oh, okay.
Some cheaper call rate or whatever. Do you get it? I think was it that? No, I'm talking about this guy. Which one? Taxi driver guy. What's his name? Richard. Yeah, the one that he said Metro, who call you Metro. Some cheaper rate call. But does it carry? I think the funny side was too much, than getting the message. Yeah. But yeah, these are some of the things. You end up having the funny side overshadowing you. Yeah. And then we're saying that direct marketing, for example, is also used massively. But then in financial services, it looks like the direct marketing works better with existing customers. Because, imagine cold calling people, and immediately they slam you. You've done it before. 7 a.m. you have to cook. I've done that before. You call people, they say, man, are you serious? You gotta tell it. It's slamming food. Then you don't have confidence to call the next number. Your boss is waiting for you. How many calls have been done so far? But of course, if the customer has been there, they know that when you have to call them at this time.
I was telling them down, I get lots of those calls, especially from the bank. You've been with the bank, you want some facility, they turn you down. After some time, they call you, your account is not active. Can you come by? What do you mean? I have to come by. And I tell them my problem is okay, when I come, solve it. Give them 2 weeks. And then to persist.
But I see sometimes it depends on the consumer's position. If the person I go follow them, they turn him down. 6 a.m. you call, so I'm selling a little guy, they will be there. He said, oh really? They say it depends on where the consumer is, Sometimes I call people, they say, I'm in the bath, man. Can you respect that? It's interesting. Yeah. So then the industry consolidation, mergers, acquisitions, easing the use of transaction data. Example, debit card, credit card, target customers. So when there's acquisitions, people get access to data. Companies get access to data, they can actually make use of them. But again, that's where you have, if the customer's profile is on there, the customer's need, then you can tailor the conversation around that to get their understanding. Advertised benefit product that better match the customer's need, increase efficiency. So if it matches the customer's need, they are most likely to listen to you than if you are talking rubbish. Then direct mail and email, targeted approach to marketing financial product, obviously, and then return on investment computation and list selection are needed to determine effectiveness. So if you get a data, for example, list service, if you get the database, usually you have to do the usual selecting data mining thing and make sure that those data that are outdated are removed. Sometimes the person has even moved out of the address, or the phone is not working. Maybe the phone company has quarantined it and then they've released it to somebody else. You always have to evaluate the data quality. Lowering rate of response due to spam, obviously. But we're saying that in financial services, it's good to use IMC, coordinated, media channels. Otherwise, you target somebody like me thinking that I listen to news and things, but not necessarily on TV or radio. I'll be on mine. So if you look at my profile and you say, oh, 7 o'clock news, best fits this guy, you've lost. Because I'm online. So you've got to actually use, kind of IMC to be sure that you're actually getting people. And that's what we're saying, that if you use all 300,000 on TV adverts, you may get 200 new policies. But you use 200 on TV and then maybe 100 on direct mail, you may get extra 50. So it makes sense to use multi-channel. And then we talked about it. So the advertising execution, reach, frequency. So reach multiplied by frequency, that's your gross rating, point. It's also crucial. You can't just tell people to place adverts and then maybe radio or newspaper reach. You have to look at the frequencies and all those things. So at the point we're saying that the frequency could actually increase your sales, maybe for credit card and insurance, for example. Now, this one, again, may be dependent on a lot of factors. Sometimes if we're having credit crunch, you may not necessarily have this. Because the more frequency you get, the assumption is that you increase your sales. But in credit crunch, you know that you can have a lot of frequency, but then you may not necessarily have corresponding sales. So this one will be all things being equal. Check account, again, the characteristics is that, and let's remember that this is context-based as well. And then advisory services. If you are, like in your case as a broker, the assumption is that if you're actually getting a lot of frequency up until now, for advisory services, you may get this point, and then it tumbles down. So there's a point where you don't have to spend again, because you get to saturation. There's no point in spending. So you always have to let the ad agencies advise you. Sometimes they won't just tell you because of their own benefits and their own opportunistic convenience. Okay, so it's the same thing that we're talking about here in terms of the increment and increase in advertising. Will have the most effect on certain ranges of advertising frequency. Ideally, one needs to measure the shape of the ARF through experimentation. So some companies actually do experiment. They may send the mail shots first and see how many people, before they roll it out as a nationwide process or as a nationwide campaign. So you want to test it in a very small capacity first before you blow up the entire campaign. So there's a calculation here. 1 million, number of household contacted 3,000, number of policies generated. So you send 3,000 mails, you get 30, which is a percentage response. Then up onto here, 3.8. So if you look at the increment, 3,200, just the extra 200. See the increment. So you want to do a little bit of sample to see how it goes and then. But then again, context-based. I mean, there are some places where the mail may not even get to the house. So you've got to actually look at those things. Steps in planning out and advertising programs, So determine the objectives of the ad, number of new policies generated, increase awareness of the brand, generating leads. So what is the objective of the ad? Is it to do this? Or is it to ward off competition? So you have to establish the objective first. And then of course you determine the budget, the available budget. How much are you given by your employees or by your employers, or your authorities to spend? Conduct return on investment estimation, which sometimes you may have some fallback, maybe some data, previous project or previous campaigns that you've done, you can follow. Now sometimes the agency can give you some indicators for you to evaluate the return on investment of those. And then you determine the content of the ad, creative development, legal examination. Again, the NCA thing that you talked about, would the adverts be accepted and things that you tested? Sometimes you test it with a small consumer group to see the effectiveness of the ad. Would that have that impact before you roll it out? All right. So computation of return on investment. Well, there's some small things. So lifetime value of an acquired customer, V. Determine the number of people the advertisement will reach. Determine the percentage likely. So this, what do you call? Calculation, ROI. You multiply all these divided by 1 minus 1. we can plug in figures and try it maybe in our own time.
Divided by L.
Oh, let me see. Is it
L.
Is it L? Oh,
I.
I.
Yeah.
The advertising investment level, yeah. Advertising investment level, sorry. Yeah. And then minus 1. Yeah. So a little bit of some of the calculations here. So if you have, assuming the customer will renew policy for 4 years, and our average premium for this demographic group is 850 per year, and the underwriting costs are about 250. So that's the calculation. You have the 4 years multiplied by that, and that's what you get. Say the clock now. So again, similar examples here. Alright, let me show you the adverts then we can close. Oh, wait.
She's stepping out.
She's stepping out.
He's still there.
Yeah, so, yeah.
He's still there. He's still there.
You want to watch it? Maybe we can.
I want to close.
So there's point 1.